Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
All right, you've had a month now, and you still haven't found it. What are you out there doing right now? Are you even listening to the clues? Do you want to win the KOs or not? Listen to the Mix FM. JJ, gosh, tell them what they got to do, man, because obviously they aren't doing it right.
You got to be listening for the clues again each weekday morning when you wake up bright and early at 6 a.m. Matt and the morning crew, they'll have that clue first thing for you bright and early each weekday morning. Again, go out and find that key packet. We've stashed it good somewhere across southern Ohio. We're not saying where. You just got to listen for the clues. And again, when you think you know where it's at, go find that key packet. Stop by our Total Media Studios at the Stockmeister Plaza on Main Street in Jackson. Turn it in, and you're going to write off on a KO Predator 125 or a KO Storm 150 from your friends at Honda Suzuki Polaris K&M of Jackson and Total Media.
Better hurry, or it's going to be well used.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV. Of course, it is Monday, which means Pete Wilson and the Morning News Update. Welcome.
I'm here. Thank you very much.
Well, we're good. Well, I guess you didn't blow away over the weekend.
Well, you know, I had to hold on for dear life, like everybody else.
Same. Man, that was, I'd rather not do that again.
Right. I think some of the winds might have been 50 miles per hour or more, the gusts. And, they were sustained. It was pretty much most of the day.
Yeah.
Which
it was rough.
Which created problems because, a lot of people maybe lost power earlier in the day on Saturday, but here's the thing. I mean, sure, the crews know that the power is out, but they can't work very well, if at all, when the wind is blowing like that.
Exactly. So, for their safety and for a whole lot of other reasons, it's just not okay to be out working in that. So it's hard to get the stuff fixed and back up and go. And it was ironic. We were coming back from Cincinnati Saturday morning, and I wanted to stop by Menards there in Chillicothe. Mm-hmm. And so we stopped by Menards. We looked at a few things that I needed to look at for the new spots, and left and went downtown to 50 West to grab a bite to eat. And I saw on my phone, like, all of Bridge Street is out, powered. I was like, we were just there. That's so ironic. So we must have just literally missed the power outage. But boy, that wind wiped out Bridge Street in Chillicothe, and that's not good.
No,
there's a lot of stuff.
You can just hear the ticker going on how much money is lost when that happens.
Gosh.
And you know that they're going to get besieged because residents that lose power are going to head to town looking for something to eat, warmth, whatever.
Yes, exactly. And then you have half of the business district of Chillicothe out of power, and that's not good. So locally here, you probably have a story about that on what's going on.
Right. Well, here's the situation. Of course, the power started to go out, Saturday morning, mid-morning, late morning, as those winds hit Jackson County and Vinton County, the whole area under a wind advisory, which we've seen a little bit here in the winter and into the spring. But probably, Jennifer, by the time I checked, because, here in Jackson, we didn't lose any power. So until I realized that there were some other people out, and I checked. But at that point when I did, electronically, the notices that are put out by our power companies, it appears that approximately at least 5,000 people were without power in Jackson and Vinton counties, over those two counties, as of Saturday evening, early Saturday evening. And there were more that went out even after that because, those winds continued, so maybe some of the outages weren't immediately reported.
Yes.
But as of right now, believe it or not, I know it's Monday morning, the winds went away on Sunday and all, and we had bright sunshine and all.
Boy, yesterday made up for it, though, didn't
Right,
it?
right, and not a lot of wind right now, but we still have a lot of people without power.
Oh,
As of
my.
8:45 a.m., I just checked, the two websites. AEP Ohio, which serves a lot of customers in Jackson and Vinton counties, throughout Vinton County and and throughout Jackson County, and also the city of Wellston, the village of Oak Hill, the village of Coalton, Jackson, of course, on its own municipal electric system. But AEP Ohio still had 359 customers without service just about 15 minutes ago, and 107 in Vinton County. So you've got nearly 500 out in those two counties from the AEP Ohio. At its zenith, there were AEP as of 9 a.m. Sunday morning. There was some restoration by then. AEP had 1,879 out in Jackson County, 847 out in Vinton County. So you see, most of it has been restored, but still a lot of people out.
Yep.
Buckeye Rural serves 8 counties in southeastern Ohio, including many in Jackson and Vinton counties.
Yep.
Right now, they have 330 out in Jackson County still, and 319 in Vinton County. So, between 600 and 700 still out there. At its zenith on Saturday, later in the day Saturday, Buckeye Rural had 945 out in Jackson County, 758 out in Vinton County. So maybe about 75% of the people restored. But one of the, I believe that on AEP Ohio does this, BREC does not, at least they don't list it. AEP Ohio lists estimated restoration times.
Yes.
And there are some people around the area that are not expected to get power back until 6 p.m. Wednesday. Now, I think here in Jackson County, there are some in the Wellston area. Whatever the Wellston area is, that doesn't mean maybe just Wellston. But the Wellston area in the AEP Ohio sphere, they're talking about 6 p.m. this evening. So, they still may have to wait a little later. And, and, from covering this before, normally they do a pretty good job getting it restored when they say, when they post it. May be a little while, but, and how they figure when they're going to get something restored, I don't know.
How they know
but
about
they figure it out. And, it is good that they give out as much information as possible. On our website, Jennifer, thetelegram.news.com, we put bulletins on over the weekend, put an update on this morning about the current number of outages. As of 7 p.m. last night, AEP Ohio put out a news release, kind of like an update and advisory on where things stood. We have that posted as well. So if you're an AEP Ohio customer, you can get the latest from there. We expect them to maybe do an update early this morning. I went on the air before it got posted at least. But that will have the restoration times, I think, for all of our area, all throughout southeastern Ohio, and maybe even throughout the state. But our area is the Wellston area that serves much of Jackson County, and certainly in the Wellston area. And, trying to pinpoint it a little bit more, on Buckeye Rural, I know one of the big problem areas for them is in the western part of Jackson County, out the Beaver Pike, and near the Jackson Pike line. When you hit those little dots on their outage map and the numbers come up, there's quite a few out in Jackson County along the Pike County line, and then on the other side of the line in Pike County as well. That was one of the main problem areas. So,
well, thank you, Buckeye Rural. We didn't lose power at our house.
Right, and here in the city of Jackson, if there was any outages, I didn't hear about them or notice them any. You drive through town and notice the traffic lights, or people call you, you see things posted. The police may post something. The city of Jackson will post if there's a major outage. Jackson was spared or largely spared, so that was good. But we will be following that, the rest of the day, and hopefully maybe everybody in our local area will have their power back before the end of the day.
Isn't it ironic? You just don't realize how much you appreciate power until you don't have it. It's just one of those things that's just there, and you don't think anything about it.
No, and then, it is such a worry and such a hassle. First of all, weather, of course, it could affect your heat, in cold weather or in really hot weather. You don't have your AC anymore.
Had that happen too.
You worry about what's in your freezer or your refrigerator.
Oh, yes.
And then electronically, of course, you may have your phones, but, your computers and things like that count on electric service, you don't have any. You realize how much you count on those
Yes,
things.
absolutely.
Or maybe you can't charge your phone.
Well, and that's the thing too. You've got to charge these things, so
Right,
it's
exactly.
like, man, running around trying to find a flashlight. It's like, so yeah, it's good that they're getting that restored quickly.
Right. They're working on it, but I know that the windstorm by AEP Ohio, of course, Buckeye Rural serves just southeastern Ohio, but AEP Ohio had customers out in a wide area into central Ohio as well.
Yeah.
And so, that is a big job. They have a lot of employees, but when you have this many outages hit,
That's right.
it's gonna take some time. So
Yep.
the big news story over the weekend, other than the electric outages, because that obviously affected a lot of people directly and indirectly. And speaking of if you had power like you did and like I did, you don't think about this. We always go down to the A&A truck stop on Sunday for brunch or lunch or breakfast
Sure.
or whatever. And Pam and I walked in there at 11:10 a.m. Sunday morning, and there was not a seat to be had.
Oh,
Now, it's a popular place,
Yeah,
but
of
that's
course.
because half of the people in there didn't have power.
didn't have power.
So it's strange how that affects everything.
Yes, it does.
And my guess is there was a run maybe on some of the restaurants in Jackson as well.
I would
those
say
ones-
so.
Those ones that were open.
Hey, Dylan, maybe that explains why you got hit so hard he was just telling me, Dylan was saying that they got just creamed at Subway over the weekend, so I'll bet that might have had something to do with it.
I am guessing that it did.
Yeah, that makes sense, because we were like, wonder why.
Yeah, no, well, that's what I thought when we walked into, the truck stop. And then I asked one of the waiters, I asked if they were having a half off special or something, or a clearance sale on the omelets.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, they don't have power. And she also said some of them wanted to hang out a little bit longer than they wanted.
Right, exactly. They didn't want to go home. I don't blame them. I was thinking it was very ironic that the Menards and the Lowe's and some of those places, they lose power. I'm like, they're the places that sell generators.
No, that is ironic.
That's ironic.
All right. Well,
Anywho.
Anyway, if it weren't for the electric outages affecting so many people, certainly the big breaking news story over the weekend was a stabbing case that happened down in Madison Township on a little township road in Madison Township near the Gallia County line called Holland Davis Road.
Never heard of it.
Heard of it a couple times. It's not very long or whatever, but that is where this incident occurred. It occurred in the early morning hours Saturday, and I certainly thank Jackson County Sheriff Ted Frazier for working with me to get the information, the news out. We do have that story online already on the telegramnews.com, and of course, we'll have a version in the print edition. Any updates, we'll certainly have that in the print edition. But the call came in at 4:01 a.m. Saturday, so very much in the early morning hours. And there were several people in that house on Holland Davis Road. It is the residence of Connie Jenkins, age 70, who lives there. Her grandson, Dylan Waters, age 26, was staying there. And a third relative made the call and gave the initial report to the sheriff. And this is scary stuff, Jennifer. The niece, the relative there, who I won't name because she was not involved in the incident other than reporting it, she stated that Dylan Waters, the grandson, she saw Dylan Waters, the grandson, standing over the grandmother, Connie Jenkins, on the floor. Dylan Waters had a knife in his hand and was stabbing Connie Jenkins and also had a pillow over her head at the same time. Can you imagine?
No.
Connie Jenkins, by the time that the deputies arrived, Dylan Waters was nowhere to be seen. Connie Jenkins was bleeding profusely.
I'll bet.
She stabbed multiple times in the face, in the neck, in the torso. Somehow survived. She was able to identify her attacker to deputies who arrived at the scene. She did not see Dylan Waters, but she recognized his voice. They immediately did a search warrant because they thought Dylan might be hiding on the property.
Okay.
And they looked in a camper, and they did find some blood in the camper, so they thought he must have gone in the camper, but he wasn't there when they looked there or in any other outbuilding.
Okay.
They put out a nixle because...
I got that.
Yeah, I got it too. That's how I knew something was going on and got on the story. They put out a Nixle alert with a description of Dylan Waters, and it really worked. It was key in them actually apprehending him a couple of hours later.
Okay.
He was seen, or a suspect who might have been him, was seen walking along U.S. Route 35 in the direction of town here in Jackson. Now, Holland Davis Road is out there a good bit. I don't know how he got that far.
I was going to say, how did he get from one place to the...
There was about a 2-hour gap between when the incident happened and when he was apprehended. So I don't know whether he can walk that or not in that time. But he was seen near the intersection of Standpipe Road, not too far from you. He was seen near the Honda shop there, closer to town.
Yep.
And then the last report they got was a report from a store clerk in the Parmar store there at 1 McCarty Lane, just off the US 35 exit there. Deputies were already in that area because they were looking for him.
Yes.
They were able to take him into custody without any incident or whatever. He surrendered. He did not have a knife or any weapon on him, from my understanding, and he did identify himself as Dylan Waters. Here is the sidebar to the story that's very interesting. They did an interview with him. Of course, they took him into custody and arrested him. And they asked him, what happened there. And he, the relative, by the way, I'll roll the tape back a bit. The relative had said they had warned the deputies that Dylan Waters had mental health problems. That was the way the relative put it, plus a history of drug abuse.
Okay.
When they interviewed Dylan Waters, and this was in the report and it's in our story, Dylan Waters told the deputy interviewing him after the incident, after he was in custody, that voices in his head told him to attack and kill Connie Jenkins. And that he heard a voice of Connie Jenkins daring him to kill her. And that was why he did. He said he loves his grandma. And the reason that he put the pillow over her head was because he couldn't stand to see her face while he was attacking her. So,
okay, that's the saddest story we've reported in a really long time.
Right.
Pete.
I mean, it's. But anyway, Dylan Waters is in custody at the Jackson County Correctional Facility. As of Saturday, he was not immediately charged, but is being held in connection with the investigation for obvious reasons. No less than a charge of felonious assault is for sure there. That's a felony, and that charge and other charges could come. You can hold a person for a while before you actually file a charge, but felonious assault would certainly be a minimum charge there in this case. But Connie Jenkins was taken by ambulance, Jackson County EMS, to Holzer Medical Center. She was immediately taken by ambulance to Grant Medical Center in Columbus, by ambulance rather than helicopter because of the wind. Because of the wind, right. And Sheriff Frazier, who I talked to personally on Saturday morning, said that she's certainly in critical condition, lost of blood. I tried to get an update on her condition this morning. I've not received that yet, but she went to the hospital in what they thought was stable condition, but certainly very critical, had lost a lot of blood.
How could you survive that?
Well, a lot of times stabbing victims bleed out.
Yes.
And there was a lot of blood there, but I guess it matters, do you hit an artery, for instance, because, so much blood comes out because, that is a waterway for the blood or whatever. And maybe it was lucky that an artery wasn't hit, or maybe she survived it in spite of that. I'm not sure of that part of it.
That is a
anyway,
story.
that was the big story from over the weekend. Once again, it is on the telegramnews.com, and we hope to maybe build on that story before Wednesday's paper. I'm sure the prosecutor will be reviewing the case and all like that, and the angle of the mental health will make that a little more complex, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. One of our big stories in the Saturday paper, Jennifer, was that we've got a big country western star coming to the Jackson County Fair.
We do. This is exciting.
This is a big deal. The Fair Board is so excited, and they're actually partnering with Total Media on this. And the least I can do is put on the old hat.
Put on your hat.
I hope this conveys, Nashville. Neil McCoy.
Woohoo!
And he likes his name in all caps, so by golly, we did it in the paper.
There you go.
There is Neil McCoy right there. I have heard. Now, I am not. I like country music. I'm more of a classic country person.
Yes.
So I didn't know a whole lot about Neil McCoy, even though I had heard of him.
Well, the sad thing is Neil McCoy would be now considered classic country Pete
He
because
is
we're
now.
old.
Okay, well, I guess I go back. I go back into the 70s. Loretta Lynn, Willie Nelson, all them. You know.
But no, I grew up listening to Neil McCoy, so
Neil
love
McCoy
him.
made his name in the 90s.
Yes.
Very big in the 90s.
Love him.
Still big. He appeared not all that many years ago at the Suesical County Fair. Was a big hit. Some people have seen him in concert. Ryan Pelletier, who is on the fair board and handles kind of the entertainment, he said, this is the way he put it, he says, Pete, this was a big get for us.
Yes.
And so, you know,
So
it's
good.
But Neil McCoy is a big name. Ryan Pelletier believes that he belongs in the legend category, along with some other
for sure.
some other big names, you know, like Travis Tritt, Tracy Bird, Tracy Lawrence. Those are some of the names
all those
that
guys.
he put along with Neil in that
100%.
category. So this is a big thing for the fair. They are already starting to sell the reserve tickets. The trackside tickets, you know, they cost $30. You can go online to, you know, the fair board's website. Down at the bottom of the homepage, there's a link called Get Tickets, and that's how you do it. They've got 1,600 trackside seats. It's going to be kind of like bleacher seats.
Okay.
They're there until they're sold. I know that's a lot, but they're already selling them for $30. That includes admission to the fair, so you know that saves you the $10 just to get in. So basically, you got a $20 reserve premium seat to see a top flight Nashville act.
It's going to be fantastic.
Right, and some of the big songs, you know, can you name them right offhand? Neil
Well,
McCoy's
let's see.
big
Neil
hits?
McCoy. I know there's Wink.
Okay.
And let's see. Oh, God, Pete, you put me on the spot.
Okay, Wink, no doubt about it. Billy's got his beer goggles on.
Yeah.
That's Life. He did a tribute to Charlie Pride, an album that was also big. But for a 10-year period there in the 90s, in the early to mid-90s, and then into the first decade of the 21st century, very big, and still a big draw when he goes out and performing in Nashville. But he will sing at 9 p.m., and it's going to be on Saturday, July the 15th.
Saturday night.
That is the heading into the weekend fair. You know, the fair is kind of expanded. They consider their dates Thursday through not the Saturday, but the next Saturday.
It's almost like a 10-day fair.
About a 10-day deal.
Yeah.
Harness racing on Thursday and Friday. I think they're going to do that again on those dates. Then they try to come up with some entertainment and some acts on Saturday. They're doing Neil McCoy on a Saturday because they feel that will help with ticket sales. First of all, except for maybe the rides, everything's going to be operating on Saturday, according to Ryan Pelletier. You know, they'll have food vendors there. You know, they'll certainly be operating. But on that Saturday at the fair, you know, it's a $10 ticket to get in. And if you want to sit in the grandstand, you don't even have to pay any extra, but it's first come, first serve. So all that grandstand seating is going to be there too. And they figure that Neil McCoy singing at 9 o'clock, and Simba Jordan is going to be his lead-in band.
Oh, good.
Now,
love Simba.
A lot of folks have heard Simba Jordan,
Yeah.
especially those folks who have attended the Ohilco Festival, the Ohio Hill Country Festival in Wellston. Simba is a regular there on Thursday.
Great
He does
dude.
those concerts, you know, with the Hope Haven folks and the JVAC folks.
Yes.
And then he does a concert, you know, that evening. Normally, I think he's been there almost every year. He is going to be the lead-in band for Neil McCoy. But Total Media, Jennifer, we got to get on board. We are a partner.
Whoop,
It is going to
whoop.
be Total Media Day, and the concert, the Neil McCoy concert, is going to be a total media event. And you know what they want out of us? What the Fair Board wants out of us is what we are supposed to do best: marketing, promotion,
Gotcha.
or whatever.
I think we can handle that.
Right. So, you know, the hat's going to be on every now and then on the show. And if you got your hat, you bring it too. Whatever you need to do.
I will find me a hat.
Neil McCoy is coming to town. So we've got a big story in our Saturday paper. Blew it up there on the front page. Of course, it's online as well. And there's a little sidebar there with our coverage. that shows all the qualifications, all the achievements that he has had in the recording business. I mean, we're talking about platinum records, gold records, top 10 records, top hits. He's hit number 1 before. So I mean, this is big for the Jackson County Fair. And I tell you what, Ryan Pelletier was I know you've been around the fair and you know how it works with the media and all like that. It's hard for a small fair or a small festival to have a name like this.
It is.
Because it's just so expensive. And you can't,
Very
you don't have a 15,000 seat arena or whatever. So attendance is so important.
Yes.
But they're going to do the Saturday evening because that way, you know, the out-of-town crowd doesn't have to think about, oh, God, it's a work night. You know, am I going to travel a couple hours to see Neil McCoy?
Yeah.
Also, this is another thing. The kids and the people involved in the fair, if it's on a weeknight, they might have a fair activity. On the junior fair end,
You're
there's
exactly
always those
right.
animal shows going on.
Yep.
And other 4-H activities. It's hard for them to go, even though it's on the other end of the fairgrounds. So that's what they're thinking too. And so that's what's going on at the fair. Neil McCoy, there's going to be other things too. And also, another win for him is, by the way, Ryan Pelletier thought, he didn't give me the contract price through Neil McCoy. He probably would have if I asked. But he told me that with the expenses added on, it's going to be a $50,000 deal. $50,000 to have Neil McCoy. And probably if they sell all those tickets, they may not get there, but they want to do the best they can to have, you know, a top-notch fair and a top-notch entertainer. And how this goes may determine how they approach things in the future.
Yes, so get out and support it.
Right, I know from covering the fair, you always have, you know, this two-sided argument. What can we afford? Because, you know, I mean, the money comes hard.
Well, it's a gamble.
Right, it is a gamble. You know, maybe the weather won't be very good. Maybe
Correct.
somebody won't go over as big as they want. But the other side of it is if you bring people through the turnstiles and, you know, you hope to get the return on the finances, you bring more people to the fair, the vendors do better. The kids might get more attention on their end too. And, you know, the Jackson County Fair is a go-to event. There's a reason to go. Sometimes when we're here in Jackson County, folks may run up to Ross County, Gallia County, or whatever because there's a named person there.
Yeah.
And then they see the other things at the fair as well. It's kind of like a tourism thing.
Yeah.
So, but the other side of it is that it costs a lot of money. And, you know, even though people like it and they like that you did it, the bottom line may not pay off for you. You know, that is always a risk.
It is a gamble. I mean, you hate to say that, but it is.
The motorized sports always go well in the smaller counties. And it's the Jackson County Fair is having its cake and eat it too. They're having Neil McCoy on a weekend, but they're still reserving the finale night of the fair for the demolition.
The crash 'em up
the
derby.
demolition derby, exactly.
Woo-hoo!
But you know, I think they're going to have the other motorized sports as well. I know that the rodeo is going to be back this year.
Awesome.
I think maybe the motocross as well. I think there's one night where they're trying to fill in with something or other that they haven't lined up yet. But anyway, it looks like that with Neil McCoy, they are really excited, and you know, we'll be telling you about it, you know, as things go on and as we learn more. But you don't have to wait to get tickets; they're available now. And it's
Get them while they're good, while the getting's good.
It's reserved seating down there on the bleachers, but the seats are not reserved. They're all the same. You come at 5 o'clock, as early as 5 o'clock. They'll open that seating down in front of the stage, and it's first come, first served to the bleacher seating. But all of them are close. It's down there on. It's down there on the track.
It's a ringside seat, if you will.
Right, exactly. So I'll take my hat off.
Take that hat off anyway.
Right, and on the crime side, we'll return to crime.
Oh.
There was a major arrest in Oak Hill recently. This occurred in the village of Oak Hill, just here in the last week, and it really started in another county, but it happened at an Oak Hill residence, and it turned into a lot more. The Scioto County Common Police Court wanted to do a probation visit of a young couple in Oak Hill because they were on probation in Scioto County.
Okay.
And the Scioto County authorities had heard that they may have guns in their possession, which you cannot do when you're on probation.
That's a no-no.
It's called weapons under disability.
Yes.
That's the charge. But the two persons who they did the search on were Hannah Altman, age 20, of Portsmouth. She was formerly of Oak Hill, but they were staying at an apartment in Oak Hill.
Okay.
And her boyfriend, Blake M. Dixon, 18, he's from New Boston, but he also was formerly in Oak Hill. They had Oak Hill connections, and they were at a resident at 138 West Cross Street in Oak Hill. Don't know where they were staying there, guests or whatever, but that is where the probation visit took place.
Okay.
Well, they did find the guns when they were there, but they found a whole lot more. They found a lot of high-powered drugs.
Oh,
That brought
no.
the Oak Hill police in because these are new charges, and it's in the village of Oak Hill, so it's
Right.
Oak Hill Police Department's business. But in their search there, now listen to this. First of all, they found some marijuana, and it ended up being 277.5 grams of marijuana. Which is more than one person would use, right?
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
They found it. They found it in a cooler, and they found it in baggies, and they found some in a safe. But then they also found some bags of another substance, which turned out to be fentanyl or forms of fentanyl. Are you ready for these quantities? 81.78 grams of parafluorofentanyl in one place. 2 other plastics bags were also processed. Together, 62.21 grams of parafentanyl and plain old fentanyl. What the difference is, I don't know, but they're all fentanyl. The other bag contained 84 singly sorted round blue pills, which were processed fentanyl. So all this
Oh, my-
fentanyl in the possession of
These 2 young kids, basically.
of Altman and Dixon.
Whoa.
They have both appeared in Jackson County Common Pleas Court. They have been released on their own recognizance with house arrest and GPS ankle monitors. Altman is on house arrest in Portsmouth. Dixon is on house arrest in New Boston. I take it they're back at their residence. They are to have no contact with each other. Charges will be filed, I'm sure, once they have done the tests on the substances to make sure that it is what it appears to be. But that is a
Holy
whole heck of a lot of fentanyl.
That's a lot.
Right. And, now, the drugs of choice are fentanyl and methamphetamine. Those are the illegal drugs that local law enforcement is running into. And the problem is that it's too accessible. You hear on national TV about the fentanyl coming across the border. I don't know where this fentanyl is coming from, but it's here in Jackson County as well,
Whoa.
certainly. And that is certainly was evidence of it. That was certainly evidence of it, this particular case in Oak Hill.
Man.
All right, on the good news side, this news came on Thursday from the Ohio Rail Development Commission, and a lot of people don't even know about this place, I don't think, but just out the Beaver Pike. Have you ever heard of a company called JT Enviro?
No.
Okay, well, I hadn't either, or if I did, it slipped out of my head. But they operate a facility just out the Beaver Pike, maybe no more than 2 miles. It's for you local folks. It's just across the road from where Nia's compost was.
Yes.
You know where I'm talking about?
Yes.
I think before you would turn off to go to the dog warden
Yes.
on Reservoir Road. Well, anyway, they are going to the Ohio Rail Development Commission is giving them a grant to help them rehabilitate a rail spur, which already goes out that way anyway.
Yes.
It's called the Aluchem spur, goes all the way out to Aluchem.
Correct.
There's going to be a spur that they're going to fix up on the other side of the road that's going to go right to this facility on the other
Awesome.
side of Beaver Pike.
Cool.
They're going to be able to create 20 jobs. That's quite a few.
Woohoo!
Right,
Love that.
Now, what JT Enviro does, and this is going to be news to most people. I didn't know. Sam Brady, who is our Economic Development Partnership CEO and president, he knew about the company, but he didn't know about this grant or this project either. But JT Enviro is a waste recycling and manufacturing company located out of Dayton. They have this facility, though, just outside of Jackson. They specialize in the clarifying of used oils and greases for industrial use, very specialized.
Oh.
The company processes used plant-based cooking oils and brown grease and transports these then recycled oils all across the country. They believe that rail transport is very important for them to be able to do what they want to do in Jackson.
Makes
They're
sense.
already operating here, but with the option of rail freight, that was big for them. So Brady did tell me he was aware that they were already doing work at that site. So not exactly sure what kind of jobs they are, but it's going to be 20 new jobs because of that rail spur there at JT Enviro. It is being engineered in conjunction with the short line railroad operator here. That's the Ohio South Central Railroad on the Aluchem Spur. And it will continue. The Aluchem Spur actually starts in Jackson and heads west out of town out to Aluchem, which is a little farther out the Beaver Pike. Work is already happening there. And once again, this is state economic development money through the Ohio Rail Development Commission. That is the state agency that regulates rail in throughout the state. And a lot of people do not understand this, but it is so important. There is rail freight traffic that operates out of Jackson County. You know, we don't have a big Norfolk and Southern or anything like that comes through Jackson County like some of the other counties in Southern Ohio, but we do have a short line railroad that hooks up with rail networks outside of the county.
Yes.
And this is very important for some of our local businesses and industries.
Yes, it is.
Because they want to have another option than just, trucking. So
Absolutely.
there you are. Good news there. All right, here's another story. I'm not sure how much we want to read into it, but I'm reading something into it. On Saturday morning, JAFE did its monthly free food giveaway.
Okay.
They do it out of their warehouse. On McCarty Lane. And this is a picture that drone pilot Mike Davis lent me. You know Mike Davis?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, he was good enough to let me use this picture for television, and I'm also going to use it in the paper. That shows how many people were queued up to get free food at the JAFE Food Giveaway.
That's a lot of people.
This last Saturday. If you're looking there, if you're got the video there, in the upper left, you see that small building there on the upper left. That is the JAFE building where the cars are going into. It's kind of a drive-through food distribution. The cars come all the way down McCarty Lane here on the left, and there they are turning. They're all the way past Adena, the Adena and that office building by Adena on Veterans Drive.
Yeah.
So they served 280 families this past Saturday, free food distribution with the support of the United Fund and some other local businesses. JAFE does that once a month on the last Saturday of every month, provided that they have the food to give away. They could have given away a lot more on this day, but two things were at work. The outside food banks that give them the food, they don't have as much as right now. They've got a little bit of a supply issue. The food banks don't have as much. So this time, JAFE ran out. But also, even though people are working, they have the opportunity to work. Things cost more now. Groceries cost more.
Yes,
they
they
seem
do.
to cost a whole heck of a lot more than that 8% that they keep citing on television on inflation.
Yeah.
And went to the store a couple times this week, and I'm bereft of money in my wallet now.
No,
but
it's crazy.
It is a lot of money, and so. If you were having trouble making it before, you're living hand to mouth, and you got a big family or whatever, and money doesn't stretch as far as it, and you got to have food. So it appears to me that there is still a lot of demand for help on these free food giveaways from the food banks and the food programs and so forth. And this was an indication of it, I think, last Saturday.
I think so.
But we'll have that.
Wow.
We'll have that photo printed up in the paper. We don't get a chance to have the aerial photos very much with the drones now, though it's much more possible. So we do thank Mike for that. All right, the Jackson County Land Bank had a meeting last week, and the Louvie Theater came up. Very much in the news. Remember, the Louvie Theater was on the Land Bank's list for demolition. They actually received money, the city of Wellston, through the Land Bank to tear it down. But then, the city leaders heard some sentiment, to save the Louvie. We've heard it before. And so the city official said, Mayor Anthony Brenner said, okay, let's try one more time.
Okay.
And so they are hoping to get some kind of outside funding to be able to save the Louvie building and come up with some plan for its productive use and to preserve that historic building, which has some sentimental value,
Yes, it does.
right there in the heart of downtown Wellston on Ohio Avenue. Well, at the land bank, remember, this is where some state and local money had combined to do a lot of demolition projects in the county.
Yes.
They were to be done, this year. A few were done even at the end of last year. Well, the Alluvia is one of those high-profile properties that were on there. City officials actually pushed to get the demolition done. Steve and Melissa Hammond, who are the owners of the Alluvia, pretty much gave up on doing something with it because they just couldn't, get the support they needed, the money
Sure.
they needed to continue. They'd already done a lot of cleanup and so forth. But right now, the city has legislation. The City Council of Wellston has legislation before it to buy the Alluvia for $10,000. They've not done that yet. The next meeting of Wellston City Council, they will vote on the third and final reading of that legislation. But they
Okay.
put it on track to do that. As far as I know, they'll carry through with it, or they wouldn't have started, I suppose. But the land bank agreed, and this is kind of like a contingency thing. The land bank has agreed to hold off, keep the money and hold off for up to a year, so that if it doesn't work out, the city will still have the money to tear down the Alluvia. One of the issues is you have to advertise that, and they feel the city should be on the hook to advertise it again if they end up tearing it down. So they already advertised it once, and they already had someone lined up to tear it down,
Right.
Harry Sutcliffe.
Yep.
So we will see what happens, but the next meeting of Wellston City Council may say whether that stays on track, the efforts to preserve it. Even if the city buys it, that doesn't mean that it's going to be saved, because they have to come up with some sort of plan. There is a committee that the city has formed,
Okay.
city people and non-city people, to help with that, to try to come up with some kind of plan and reach out to somebody who's got some money.
So I'm curious.
Probably a
Pete-
governmental agency.
Yeah, for sure. But what is what are they working toward?
You know,
What would be the goal of saving the building?
the goal of saving the building would be some sort of community center or community use. You know,
Okay.
it's ran the gamut of different things. They've talked about performances in there. At one time, Mayor Charlie Hudson thought that maybe it could be like an amphitheater type thing, the shell of the Alluvia there, and inside, be kind of like an amphitheater. That was discussed at one time.
Okay.
I think they see it as a community center, performing center. I think the Marclay template, nothing quite that fancy, but something along those lines.
Okay.
Remember what they did with the old theater down in Oak Hill, the Liberty
Yes.
Theater down there? That has turned into a community center. They have
Okay.
meetings and events
That would
there.
make sense.
And whatever. And the Alluvia is bigger than that. So,
Yes.
there would be some more possibilities there. But obviously, some local fundraising would be necessary. But to be quite honest, with the money that it's going to take, I think they're looking at some kind of public money, some kind of government grant or series of grants to make something happen there. And right now, they don't know what that is, or if they do, I haven't heard about it.
Okay.
But first, they have to make the sale.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of buildings, today is either the move-in day or the first operation day for the Area Agency on Aging District 7. That office was located in Rio Grande, and
Okay.
now it is in Jackson at 1 AC Avenue.
Yes.
And it is, there it is right there.
Yep.
I recently painted green, but that building, not exactly sure. I think part of it had been occupied not all that long ago. I think it's all empty now. I'm not sure whether the area agency is occupying the whole building or just part of it.
Okay.
But they are moving from Rio Grande. They have moved from Rio Grande to that building. For some years, the Old Times Journal newspaper operated in there. And so there's been a lot of activity there, but today is the first day that they're supposed to be operating there. The Area Agency on Aging District 7 provides services for senior citizens, funding for senior centers. It is a government program, a federal government program. They serve 10 counties in southern Ohio, including Jackson and Vinton counties, and they are moving from Rio Grande to Jackson.
Okay.
So that is where they are now. All right. Speaking of grants, some good news recent news out of the county commissioner's office. And, in Vinton County, we hear about this quite often, the need for public water in some of the more remote areas. Well, there's still areas in Jackson County that need some public water too, or improved public water service. And the county commissioners recently awarded a bid of $347,844 for a water line extension project and water vending project in Liberty Township that will be new water service for Sickles Road. That's a small road there in Liberty Township.
Okay.
And a water vending station that will be on Limerick Road. The Jackson County Water Company will be doing the work. They've done a lot of water projects, and then they actually provide the water after that.
Well, of course.
And the commissioners had set aside $300,000 in ARPA monies. That's the American Rescue Plan Act. That's the federal money that came out of, COVID,
The C word.
COVID and all the relief and like that, the second phase of the COVID money. And the commissioners thought that $300,000 would get that done. Well, the bids came in a little higher than that, $347,000. So
Okay.
what are the commissioners going to do? They decided the project was important enough that they also obligated $47,000 in general fund monies to make up the balance.
Oh, okay.
So that project will go forward. I'm not sure what the construction timetable is, but the Lloyd building contractor out of here in Jackson,
Okay.
they've done a lot of water company projects. There's
Yeah.
a connection there between the company and the water company that goes back a number of years. They've worked together on many projects. They will be doing that work. But that will be, new water lines on Sickles Road and the water vending station on Limerick Road. The water vending station is the next best thing to not having great water service because, you can go and get water and not have to haul it quite so far.
Yes, that's wonderful.
No, we talk about, electricity and taking that for granted. Never take for granted that water coming out of your faucet.
You're right. Like it's just magic. It's just there.
If it's safe,
Yep.
it's safe. All right, we'll have the Jackson City Council will meet tonight, and we want to reaffirm that this will be the first full meeting for a new councilman, and his name is Jeff Elliott.
Okay.
Very well-known local resident, retired pharmacist.
Yep.
Former Jackson City Councilman, was actually on there for 12 years.
Yes.
Got off council for a couple of years, and he will be replacing John Ondara on council. Remember, John Ondara, elected as a Republican at-large councilman, had to resign from council very recently because he and his wife moved to Chillicothe.
Yep.
Well, Jeff, I think, was actually recruited by the administration and some of the Republican leaders. They thought that he would be a good replacement.
Yeah.
And he was willing to not only seek the appointment to serve the unexpired term of John Ondara, which runs throughout the year, but he also is a candidate for the new full-year term
Yes.
that will be on our general election ballot in November. There are no contested races in the city of Jackson on either the Republican or Democrat side in the primary. So right now, it appears that Jeff is in line maybe to be reelected. However, can't say that for sure because candidates can file as either independents or as write-in candidates a little later on. So we'll certainly watch that. The May 2 primary election coming up soon. It'll soon be time to register to vote if you need to update your registration or if you're not registered at all to be able to vote in that election and or vote early or by absentee as well.
Okay.
All right, there's also a new councilwoman in Coalton, and her name is, let's see, I forgot what her name is. Her name, she is replacing James Barnes, and her name is Caritha Bockies Shivers.
Okay.
Caritha Bockies Shivers. And there she is. You're looking at her. She's facing Kim Milliken, who's got her back to her. They have their hands up because that is when she took the oath of office at the last Coalton Village Council meeting. And she replaces veteran councilman James Barnes. And Bockies Shavers actually brings some credentials to Coalton Village Council. I know Kim Milliken, who often faces a revolving door of council people in
Yeah.
Coalton, for whatever reason, they come and go. And there's not as many people in Coalton as there is in Jackson and Wells. There's not as
Right,
many people
harder
pick
to
from,
recruit
but
somebody,
they have
yeah.
as many people on council. But she is a U.S. Army veteran, attended the University of Rio Grande, has a college education, bachelor's degree programs and associate degrees experience. She has experience writing grants, has taken a grant writing course. She
Nice.
also grew up in Coalton and attended when the old Coalton Elementary School was there, so she has some local knowledge as well. So she is she is on board now in the village as Coalton as
Great.
a Coalton Village councilman. All right, some other things we want to tell you. We put the story in, Jennifer. I want to mention this real quickly. I think it is a testament to Erica Zinn. You know, we talked about how, this MacArthur native and resident and graduate of Vinton County High School back in the mid-'90s is going into the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yes, so cool.
On June the 10th. Well, we broke that story in the middle of last week, and I'll tell you what, we have seldom had a sports story get so much attention online and on social media.
That is wonderful.
Which tells me that we've got a lot of attention in Vinton County now. Our total media
Absolutely.
platforms do. But more than that, I think it shows tremendous respect for Erica Zinn.
Yeah,
You know,
I think so.
she's lived there all her life. She has came back to work in Vinton County. Very accomplished young lady. She is the district treasurer for the Vinton County Local School District.
Yep.
Of course, her daughter Cameron recently graduated from Vinton County High School, was on that state tournament team a couple of years ago, and so really a lot of excitement there
Yes.
in Vinton County over Erica Zinn. A lot of pride there. A lot of folks here in Jackson County know Erica and know of her, and they celebrate her accomplishment. Not
As
only
they
at Vinton
should.
County High School, but even more so at Shawnee State University, where she broke a lot of records and won a national title
Yeah.
in Shawnee State's division.
Just won a national title. It's fine.
Exactly. So if you missed that somehow
That's
last
great.
week, that story is still online. Hey, we want to tell you that this is the last week, if you're a member of the public in the Oak Hill area, or you have connections to the Oak Hill area and maybe you don't live there anymore, but the Oak Hill schools have something called the Hall of Honor.
Yes.
And they do it every other year. It's not every year. They do it every
Okay.
other year, and they put one person in the Hall of Honor in conjunction with the high school graduation, which of course is coming up next month. And they invite the public to make nominations, which can be done online or by contacting the Oak Hill Superintendent's office. But former employees, Board of Education members, and volunteers, consideration shall be given according to the length and quality of service to the field of education and to the contributions made to the school district, the community, and to society in general. So it's kind of broad there. It can be patrons, it can be alumni, it can be graduates, it can be people who are involved in education, it can be people whose achievements reflect positively upon the school in some very significant way. Maybe some graduate who went to Oak Hill, maybe they moved away, but they did great things when they were away,
Yeah.
but they're still in Oak. But if you feel you have a nominee for this, you have to put it in by this Friday, March the 31st. You can submit your nominations by email to the superintendent's secretary. That's Alyssa Shaner. You can get on the school website and do that. Also, you can call the board office. The number's listed, but I'll give it to you real quick. It's 740-682-7595. Once again, 740-682-7595. If you didn't write it down, you can still look it up.
There you go.
Also, the JHS Alumni Committee is getting ready for their big shindig. The program is going to be at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, May the 27th. It will be followed by an after party called The Happening at 8 p.m. at the Parks Edge Event Center. The 50-year graduation classes from 1970, 71, 72, and 73 will be honored. That's because we haven't had an alumni program for 3 years now because of you-know-what?
Yeah.
COVID. The Alumni Committee recently announced who the class toast will be given at the program.
Okay.
For the class of 1970, it's Chuck Brown. For the class of 1971, it's Raymond Lynn Booth. For the class of 1972, it's Steve Keller. And for the class of 1973, it is Ed Chin. If you want to go, the program is free. Anybody can go. You don't even have to be an alumni, but obviously if you're in one of those 4 classes or an alumni, it's something you might want to do.
Yep.
The Happening is open to anybody, obviously mainly for alumni, and it's all alumni, just not those 4 classes. It is a ticketed event because they're going to have a hors d'oeuvres buffet, very nice every year. They're going to have live music. Morgan Washam's going to be there singing.
cool.
They'll have the cash bar. They'll have a 50-50 raffle, all sorts of fun and networking to see your friends from
Yeah.
yesteryear, not just in your class, but the other classes. But you have to get your tickets in advance so they know how much hors d'oeuvres to have
Yes.
on hand. Tickets are $20, and you call Alumni Secretary Vicki Williams at 418-2117. We've got that information online and on Facebook, and we'll have it in the paper multiple times, but that is coming up.
Great event.
All right. we want to mention really quickly about the high school plays, Jennifer, because we had 2 this past weekend. We had Suesical, the musical, at Jackson High School in the auditorium. Look at that group. Look at all those.
They killed
look
it.
at all those Dr. Seuss characters. I mean, it came off so good. Kathy Lord and her group does such a good well. I will give Kathy credit for this. Not only are the productions outstanding, but she has done a great job taking it to another level, getting more kids involved.
Yes, absolutely.
Not just the high school kids, but the younger kids.
Huge cast.
I remember in the day it was hard to get the boys to come out and do that. And, the younger kids, I don't know whether we want to do that or not, but Kathy is very inclusive that way. And there is a picture of the cast all gathered together, too. As you can see, one of the secrets is to have a lot of people involved in your cast.
Right.
Then you get a bigger audience that way, too. You get more
Exactly.
interest. But they had 3 performances this past weekend, and Jeremiah Shaver was there on Friday night, and he's going to have a gallery that's going to be on our website where you can see
Good.
lots of pictures that won't be in the paper, but we're going to have lots of pictures in the paper and a story as well in Wednesday's paper, if provided that Jeremiah's out there working right now.
I think he is.
All right. Also, on Thursday, our Red Thompson Jr. went up to see the Vinton County play. That's the Vinton
Yes.
County. That's the Vinton County High School Viking Players. That's their drama group up there. Joy
Correct.
Henderson's in charge up there. She does a great job as well. They did a great Disney show, Aladdin Jr.
Yes.
The Magic Carpet Ride. There are the 2 heroines right there. That's Ryan Perry, who played Aladdin, and Princess Jasmine, played by Brooklyn Burns. And weren't those great costumes?
Those are wonderful.
But we're going to do the same thing for Aladdin Jr., of course, that we're doing for Suesical. And that means that we're going to have some pictures online. We're going to have this story with accompanying pictures in Wednesday's paper.
That's
Red has already
awesome.
done the work, so I know it's going to happen. Now, coming up this weekend is the Addams Family Values play that Wellston High School is doing.
That'll be
So we got
fun,
one more
too.
play in the books.
Love that.
So that is coming too. That's the Addams Family School Edition is what that's called.
Okay.
Performances Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday evenings at 7. Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Charity Potter, if she does like she did with the last play, Fiddler on the Roof,
Yes.
you know that this one is going to be very good
Really
as well.
good,
Everybody can relate. That's over 50 to the Addams Family, and a lot of younger kids have seen the movies, the sequel type movies.
You got it.
All right, we're going to run out of time real quick. We want to tell you that there's lots of Easter egg hunts coming up.
Yes.
This weekend and also the next weekend.
Okay.
This weekend. Not this weekend, but the next weekend is Easter weekend, but some of the Easter egg hunts will be this weekend. We're going to have a list of the Easter egg hunts to tell you about.
Okay.
But also, you know what starts tonight, Jennifer? Baseball season. Baseball season starts for the Jackson Ironmen. They actually played a non-league game on Saturday, but this is the first home game. There are your Ironmen right there. Coach Josh McGraw is the head coach. He's got a lot of coaching help. He's got a lot of players out this year. He has had the Jackson High School baseball program has a string of winning seasons.
Oh, yes,
some
they do.
championships in there, and he's hopeful again. But he's got a young team. It's a young but talented team. There's 10 position players because you have a designated hitter, the 9 in the field plus the designated hitter. He told me that he only has 3 of those 10 positions back. So he's going to have to have some of those other kids who didn't get to start last year and younger kids step up. And I asked him how he was going to be. He says, well, I think we'll be good, but can I tell you in about 2 weeks? So
We'll see.
We're going to start finding out tonight. Once again, Total Media will be bringing you all the Jackson High School Ironman home baseball games. Except for the second game of next Saturday's doubleheader, but we will bring you the first game. I will be there. Dan Morrow's got the equipment, so he better be there. And we're going to be, it's about 5 o'clock is when the first pitch is supposed to be. Broadcast time slightly before that. And so we appreciate all the support we have from the school, from Coach Josh McGraw. We've been doing the baseball games now at Jackson for 7 or 8 years, and the reason we're able to do it is that we have a group of sponsors that wants to see the baseball games come on. If we didn't have it, we couldn't do it. Simple as that.
That's exactly right.
And so we thank them. So once again, that is tonight. There's also a game tomorrow night against Gallia Academy. I looked at the forecast, Jennifer, and it's going to be a little cool tomorrow, but no rain. Today we might have a little bit of rain this morning, but it's not supposed to rain this afternoon.
It'll be fine.
It'll warm up a little bit, and
That's right.
we'll be under cover, and we won't have that wind that we had on Saturday.
That's
You never
exactly
know what
right.
kind of weather.
I hope.
You never know what kind of weather you're going to get in the spring. But I want to tip my hat to Coach McGraw. Not only has he done a good job coaching, but a lot of the major league teams and the ball teams have the dugout crews and the field coordinators.
Yes.
Well, he is a one-man crew.
I was going to say, he is the
I mean,
crew.
if you drive by Dick Sparky Haller Field,
Yep.
you'll see him on that tractor. You'll see him with a spade.
That's right.
He line in the field. The man does it all beyond just coach the team. So congratulations to him.
That's right. And you can tune into those games tonight, either on your Total Media Radio app or turn on the old-fashioned radio, 1330 a.m. and also 105.3
FM. Right.
FM.
We should have said that's where you can catch all the games this year. And
That's right.
it's always going to be about 5 o'clock. The Saturday game that we're going to do, which is the third broadcast game, that's scheduled right now for 11 a.m. on Saturday. But we'll let
Okay.
you know if that time
That's
changes.
right.
All right.
We'll keep you updated.
You got a clue, don't you?
That's right. Today starts week 6 of the 2023 cycle search, and we have the clue for you today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is clue number 26.
Okay.
All right. Pay attention, folks. Okay, here we go. The strong winds couldn't blow the packet away. Look high and low, and today could be your lucky day.
Okay. All right. High and low. Today could be your lucky day. Okay. Would we lie to you?
We would not lie
No,
to
we
you.
would not. You've just got to put those clues together and
That's
keep
right.
listening.
That's right. And there's some dillies this week, just to let you know.
Okay.
A little heads up. So, all right. Well, thank you, Pete, for spinning your several different hats with us this morning. We appreciate it. And we will be right back here tomorrow. Thank you, Dylan, for pushing all the right buttons. And
He did a great job
He
again,
did.
didn't
He did. We will be back here tomorrow, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegramnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegramnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegramnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegramnews.com.
Check it out.